Okay. Okay. Today we're gonna experiment with some blood oranges. We're gonna make a curd, a mashup of a number of recipes, and we're gonna see how it goes. There's so much juice coming out that it's actually sprayed. Oh, look at my phone. It's completely covered. Here's sugar. Always strain it. Hooks the back of the spoon, leaves a clean line. Check out the curd.
Oh, you made curd?
Mm-hmm.
Holy schmoly, that's some color.
Right? Less sugar this time too. And I was still able to emulsify it, even with less sugar.
Cool.
All right, today we're gonna look at the orange curd that we made yesterday. It's been in the fridge overnight, and we're gonna see how it settled. I gave it a little jiggle this morning, and it looked like it settled quite nicely, quite nicely. Color is actually not too bad. The color is more of a pale pink. Yeah. Still a bit sweet, but that's because the oranges were actually very, very sweet.
Okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Nadia.
And I'm Rob.
Welcome to our channel. And this episode is based off our previous episodes, which were the meringue series. And in the meringue series, we kind of went and discovered curds, how to cook them.
Sort of.
We had a failure. We were able to rescue it, but it kind of led us into that path in terms of what really makes a curd. What do you really need? And do you really need the amount of sugar that most recipes call for?
Yeah, because I know Nadia was looking at various different recipes for lemon curd, orange curd. We did one with
we did Meyer lemon.
Meyer lemons, which is like a sweeter lemon.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there seems to be a lot of variability in terms of, eggs, egg yolks, sugar, amount of juice,
amount
lemon.
of butter.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot of it. So it's like, okay, well then what do you really need to make a curd? And what's I guess defining that line of making a thicker curd versus a thinner one? Because I tried a number of them. Majority of them turned out really watery or thin for me.
So the underlying question is, will it curd?
Yeah. Without needing so many eggs or sugar.
Yeah, and don't make scrambled eggs.
Nobody likes it.
Lemon scrambled eggs.
It sounds odd. So we are actually doing an experimental video as opposed to a recipes video for this round. We grabbed 2 citrus fruits, a lime, and what's called a Cara Cara Orange. And if you haven't heard of Cara Cara Orange, they are the sister orange
They're the new kid on the block.
They are actually a mutation that occurred on a navel orange in Venezuela in the 1970s, and then in the 1980s, they started bringing it to United States, and I don't know when it made its way into Canada. But it is a mutation that accidentally occurred on a navel orange tree, and it produced this beautiful, almost like a ruby red interior orange that's actually sweeter.
And it's also completely seedless.
Yeah.
So I guess all the Cara Caras since the 70s are grafted branches of the original mutation.
Yep. So we wanted to try it and see how it would behave in the curd. So we have a really acidic citrus, and then we have more of a sweet citrus.
And we're using the exact same quantities of everything else, same amount of eggs, sugar. And one of the things we want to do is try and make curds with less sugar, because we both find that a lot of the curds are like way too sweet. I mean, we both like a bit of the sharpness of the citrus, and we don't want it to be overwhelmed with sugar.
Or mask the actual fruit.
Yeah, exactly.
We want to be able to taste the fruit. So if all variables are equal, which is butter, eggs, sugar, and the juice,
the technique,
the amount of juice as well, everything is the same. How would they cook is our question. You will see salt as one of the ingredients. That's optional. It has no thickening agent quality. It's just a flavor enhancer. So let's get to the recipe video, see how they turn out, and stay tuned.
The non-recipe video.
The non-recipe video, the experimental video. Stay tuned after the video as we sort of discuss the results, do a tasting, and give our thoughts.
See what
and
happens.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Should we do a B-roll of zesting? Welcome back. I hope you guys stuck around after
That was
experimental
interesting.
video. Yeah. Not what I was expecting.
Why?
I'm not sure why. I wasn't expecting for the lime curd to thicken up so quickly.
It was like...
It was under 4 minutes. And yet the Cara Cara Orange, I did expect it to take that long because I did try this method out before with blood oranges and Meyer lemon. And the blood orange and the Meyer lemon did take a while, about approximately the same time. But the lime, I was not. That was
That was
instant.
really fast.
Yeah.
And I guess it has to do with the interaction of the citric acid with the eggs and butter.
Yep. I mean, the lime does have one different acid, and you were mentioning it in the video.
Lime actually is I think it was a 2-to-1 blend of citric and malic acid. Mm-hmm. And then there's a teeny little bit of something called succinic acid, but it's really small a bit. But that's the difference between a lemon and a lime. There's the malic acid is the major feature. But of course, limes have a lot of citric acid in them. Mm-hmm. So that seemed to be the factor that caused it to form up into the curd very quickly.
I mean, we basically ended up doing some research because once we saw how the curds behaved, considering all other variables are the same, what would be the defining difference between the two? And it turns out it's the
citric acid,
the pH level. So let's try the lime one first.
Yeah.
I'm very curious. Here's the lime.
It's nice and solid.
It's pretty solid, yeah.
As you saw, we included zest in the final. We mixed in some zest. Maybe because that'll enable us to tell them apart.
And also, if you're afraid of any bitterness in it, I mean, by cooking it, you wouldn't get any bitterness aspect out of it. But when you're zesting, you just kind of want to avoid the pith anyways. Is that what it's called? Pith?
Yeah, the white part. It's just you're just looking for the green, and that adds a nice little brightness to the flavor. Mm-hmm. And it smells good. Oh, it smells like fresh limes.
It does. One key to cooking is to avoid cooking it with anything that's a reactive metal. So no aluminum, no...
I guess copper?
No copper, that's right. We used a copper pot, but the inside is lined with tin, which is fine. We just happen to have them, but stainless steel is the best option.
Okay, let's taste. Wow. It's definitely a sharp lime flavor. It's that thing that gets you right back in the corner of the jaw.
Maybe water just a little bit, but I actually like it. It's not too sweet. We could add a bit more sugar if we wanted to.
I would say, depending on what you're doing with it.
I was going to say.
If you were putting a meringue on this, like the Italian or the Swiss meringue, you were making a tart, that could work.
Yeah, because the meringue has so much sugar in it.
Straight on its own, it's a little sharp, but it'd be great for mixing in anything sweet. It's a really nice flavor. Very fresh, very bright.
The zest is nice when we start chewing on it.
And it's a very solid curd, as you can see. So it set up, what was it, like 4 minutes?
Less than 4 minutes. It was very quick.
Yeah.
I was not ready for it. Okay.
And one of the things that you did that I think really helps, and maybe this is a bit of a hint in making curd, is when you're mixing the eggs and the butter and the sugar together, you not quite creamed them together, but you made sure that they were all fully dissolved and a nice smooth consistency before adding in the juice and starting to cook it.
I think I went the opposite. So I think I did the opposite. I actually, once the butter was melted, I added the sugar, mixed it till it was like a ribbony texture.
Right.
Then I added the juice, properly incorporated it. Then you have to wait for the mixture to cool down because once you add the eggs, you don't want them to scramble.
That's right.
So I added the eggs in, gave it a good whisking, then put it back on the heat. Most recipes want you to mix the sugar and the eggs together, and there is a reason for it. We were able to bypass it because of the method that we did. But the reasoning is for it that the sugar delays the coagulation of the egg.
Right, but we ended up with them all together.
I think
the important thing is you've made a very smooth emulsion of it before you started cooking it.
Yes.
And I think that's what helps with the evenness of the development of the curd.
And no graininess. It's
and
really
when it does form a curd, you know exactly what's going on. You can see it very clearly.
Yes.
Okay. Let's taste the other one.
Sorry, this is really good. Now this I won't tip too much. This one is more of a, I'm trying to bring it into camera. It's more loose. I don't want to tip it too far because it is more pourable.
It's definitely a liquid, a pourable liquid.
This would be more like a custard.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is beautiful.
It actually tastes like
It's
custard.
sweet and it's rich. Ooh, thank you.
I'm so sorry. I dirtied Rob's pants. It tastes like custard.
Mm-hmm.
And
it is definitely a very different consistency than the lime. And I suppose if you wanted a denser curd, you could add another egg or egg yolk, or
you could do that, but I think that's actually a really good segue into the next piece of the conversation, the level of pH. The lower the pH will probably lead to a denser or a thicker curd without having to add more butter or egg.
Now, of course, lower pH means more acid. So the lower the number, 7 is the middle. Anything above 7 is base or sweet. Anything below 7 is acid. And I think you said that lime juice is like a 4.
I gotta put this down or else I'm gonna keep eating it. Sorry, one more. One more. Okay. So this is where the research
details.
Exactly. This is where the research led us. Citric acid, lemon being the most or having the lowest pH in the citrus family, 2.3 in terms of acid level. Lime is 2.4, grapefruit is 3.8, and tangerine is 3.9. Now, I couldn't find a definitive pH level for a Cara Cara orange, but because it's the close cousin of a navel orange, depending on when you pick the navel orange in the season, it's anywhere between 3 or 4 pH. Since Cara Cara is sweeter, I'm going to say maybe it's between 4 or 5 pH.
I can see litmus strips in our future.
Or they have the pH gun, electric gun, so you don't need to.
Oh, but the little strips from high school biology were so much fun.
They are, change of color.
But how do you read a litmus strip when you're doing orange juice?
That's the thing. Well, they actually extract the citric acid from the juice and then they read it.
Right.
So you get it at its purest form. So then begs a question, because I saw in a lot of the recipes when people were doing oranges or blood orange curds, they would add one lemon, one juiced lemon.
Oh, on top of the orange.
Yeah, but they were saying it to add it just to give it a more tartness. But I wonder if they realize that the reason you also want to add it is to lower the pH.
And to create a more curdy curd.
A more curdy curd without realizing it. So then that's the other question. Can you just add citric acid?
Yeah, I have citric acid.
Yeah. I wonder if you just add citric acid without having the sharpness of a lemon, but still having the tartness and the citric acid level to lower the pH to create a thicker
more
curd.
Experiments.
This is what I'm talking about, the curd rabbit hole.
This is kitchen science.
But it's so fascinating. It's like, okay, well then, if that's the only variable, then why are people adding so much sugar? Because the thickening agents in a curd is sugar, butter, and eggs. And if you're allergic to eggs, which I found out recently some of our friends are, make it with not cornstarch, because cornstarch would lend to a grainy texture, but tapioca instead of eggs.
Right.
But going back to the original formula, if your thickening agents are sugar, butter, and eggs, without having to add more of any of those three and just up or lower your pH by adding citric acid or lemon juice, could that be a proper thickening of the curd without having to add the other fats in?
I have no idea, but it should do.
It should do, I think so, right? Without having, that way you get your desired sugar level without having to add more sugar to it, thinking it would make it thicker. Or in the end, if you gently reheat it, we haven't tried it, but I'm pretty sure it would work. If you gently reheat it and you dissolve some tapioca starch in water, add it back to the curd and just stir, that would probably also help thicken it up.
Or just enjoy the curd as it is, because it's delicious.
It is delicious, but some people want
Depends
thicker.
on what you want to use.
Do you want a scoopable curd? I mean, we made the Meyer lemon curd for our Italian meringue series, which you can find the card here if you want to go watch it. And it was a nice scoopable custardy.
That was delicious.
Yeah, whereas the Cara Cara orange, I would have to thicken it further to make it scoopable.
Or you could just leave it in a drinkable form.
Which is what that might be. If you're doing a parfait and stuff.
Oh, that would be great.
Because it really tastes like custard. So I actually like this method. There's two methods that I like. There's this one and there's one by our favorite gluten-free author, recipe developer, Alana Taylor-Tobin, because the way she makes her curds is for baking purposes. So when we made the Mari lemon tarts,
amazing,
worked out perfectly. I don't know if this method would work because this is more custardy, whereas her curd was more clear.
I'll leave it to the bakers.
Rob's looking at me like, okay, are you done yet? It's just, you know, you really enjoyed it.
It's been a curd saga.
Yeah, and I think knowing how easy it is to make the curd, if you just have a bit of patience, this is kind of a no-fail method.
Seems to work.
As long as you just read how the eggs are cooking and you're good to go. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, he's looking at me like, are we done yet? Are we done yet? So thank you for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. And
subscribe, like, hit the bell.
Hit the bell. The next videos we'll be working on are sourdough videos. I've been getting a lot of requests on how to make the sourdough bread that we make at home. And videos for effervescence life. Can I tell?
Just a hint.
Just a hint. Effervescence life. All right. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed it and we hope you return.
Bye-bye. I need you to bring the spoon down and then bring it back up to the same place. Okay. So I want to do a spoon shot. What am I doing?